Amitabha, good morning. Welcome to today's Dharma talk. I would like to continue the subject on what is the true mind and part 2 that pretty much cover the number 6 to number 10 aspects of the true mind. Okay, before we start, let's recite the verses for beginning the sutra together. Okay. Please join palms. The unsurpassed, profound, and sublime Dharma is difficult to encounter even in a billion aeons. Today we see, hear, receive, and uphold it, vowing to fathom the true meaning of the Tathagata. Okay. So, the Śurangama Sutra has 10 chapters. Now we are moving to chapter 2. The topic is about the nature of visual awareness. And after Buddha helped Ananda to find where to kind of like break his wrong views about where the mind is, from on 7 places, then Ananda still don't understand what the true mind is, even though he knows what the illusory minds are, but he then did not know what the true mind is. And then he continued ask Buddha questions, and this dialogue become the very famous topics called the 10 aspects of the visual awareness. Buddha used the visual awareness to represent all the awareness and to point out what the true mind is. And these 10 aspects, we talk about that the five. 对不起，我们的 slide 没有 continue。Okay, I think we have a problem. Okay, when we resolve the technical issue, then I will continue talking. That like I say, we have 10 aspects, and last time we talked about Buddha told Ananda that when you see, it's the mind that see, not the eyes. Okay, so for ordinary people, we always think that it's our eyes that see things, but unfortunately, it's not. And then Buddha continued to explain, 常在法师 is not showing. The PowerPoint did not continue to change. Okay. But, yeah. And then second, Buddha continued to explain, you know, it's the mind that see, but the mind does not change. Okay, just so that does not move. Okay, so because, and then the third is that the true mind, the true awareness does not. 这边不是这个。哪里不是 ？Look， 你看 screen 那里，你不要动。All right. And so because Ananda misunderstand that the body and mind is the true self. So the second part is what is moved is not you. Okay, so your body move and your conscious mind move as well. So it's not the true mind. And then the question goes like, does the mind perish when we die? You know, when we lose our body and mind, is the true mind still there, or we just, you know, disappear? And of course not. Okay, so Buddha explained that the mind does not lost, does not perish. 拜托，可是那里没有变啊。来，先等一下，哎呀，这个，哎，好了，这个。We shouldn't try advanced technique. And all right, let's see if it changed. How to change my page? Freeze. Okay, let's move faster. Okay, so anyway, there are 5 aspects we explained in the last talk. And today I'm going to continue for the 6th to 10th, which is the nature of seeing awareness is not mixed with the object. And it has no boundary. It is not non-dual, and it is beyond mundane views and is beyond seeing. So let's go to number 6. The nature of seeing awareness is not mixed with the objects. Ananda asked, okay. So when Buddha talk about, you know, the true nature of the seeing awareness is non-returnable, you know, the light, the darkness, and the openness and the blockage. All these are the conditions for us to see, but when we all return it, and we should be able to go to our original state of the mind. But Ananda said, you know, I'm here seeing a lot of things, and Buddha asked me to return it. You know, the light, when I see light, I return to the light, darkness, return to the darkness. And when I return everything, and how do I know that is my true nature? You know, when you're seeing does not depend on any conditions. And how do am I sure that I'm not in the, you know, like dead wood, or I'm really seeing my true nature? So last time we talked about the 8 conditions for us to see. And so if we return it, you know, how do I know that's my true nature? And then Buddha continue to explain, okay. So at that time, Buddha empowered Ananda so that Ananda can see the heavens of the first dhyana, Okay, so you know that this mundane world, what we can see is very limited. Mountain, river, you know, buildings. But if you can go to attain the first dhyana, you basically go to the first levels of heavens. And what you see is really, really different and very vast and very beautiful. So Buddha said, you see, I empower you to see those wonderful heavens. And that's heavenly eyes. Okay, then you have the heavenly eyes to see the heavens. And then for Aniruddha, okay, who is one of Buddha's high practitioners, high disciples, and he attained arhatship. So he can see the Jambudvipa clearly, just like, you know, he see like a mango in his hand. Okay, and this point, this arhat has wisdom eyes. And then bodhisattvas at various stages can see hundreds of thousands of words. Okay, then we call it, they have Dharma eyes. And the Buddha can see the infinite numbers of Pure Lands in 10 directions. And there is nothing that he cannot see. That's called Buddha eyes. And how about us? We only can see very limited by our eyes. So our eyes is no more than 1, square inch. And so that's called physical eyes. And so basically all the beings at different levels, we have this so-called 5 eyes, and we can see different things in different scope and different clarity and so on. So Ananda very confused, you know. And so like, you know, I can see that, and you know, right now is I'm sitting here seeing something, and I know that the light and darkness and all that is not the condition for me to see my true nature. But how do I know what my true nature is? So then Buddha continues, see, all you can see, okay, no matter it's the form, the shape, the length, the water, and you know, these appearances, be it in light or in dark, are no more than the image of the object you perceived and distinguishes that contain you, okay? And so among them, you should tell between, okay? This is very important. When we see something, we should be able to tell, you know, what is you and what is not you. In other words, I'm sitting here, what is me and what is not me, okay? So Buddha asked Ananda, okay, let's choose from all that lies within your visual awareness. Just like you sit here, no matter what you see in front of you, can you tell what is your entity, true nature, and what are perceived objects? And if you employ the power of your vision to its fullest extent, Ananda, from the sun palace to the moon palace, all what you see are objects. They are not you. Okay, so now he is with the heavenly eyes. He can see the moon palace, the sun palace. All what you see is the objects, not you. So here, the viewer contains the eye faculty and the visual awareness, the so-called body and mind. Okay, and then we see the objects, right? Now, we have different levels of eyes, and then we can see different levels of the universe or the world. Now, Buddha said that, Ananda, all these perceived objects, near and far, have their own distinctive appearances, yet all are seen by the accents of your visual awareness. Okay, there is the accents of visual awareness. Each object is distinguished from the others by its differences, but the nature of your visual awareness is the same. This essence of visual awareness, which is wondrous and luminous, is indeed the nature of your visual awareness. This is very straightforward. And basically, Buddha point out that viewer, you have eye faculty, you have visual awareness. So to make you the ability to see. But now Buddha further point out that actually the so-called visual awareness has two parts. One is the essence of visual awareness. The other is consciousness. The first to six consciousness that you discriminate the differences of the objects that you perceive. And in the visual awareness, only this part, the essence of visual awareness is the same for all the eyes, for all the level of beings. But our first to sixth consciousness are different. That's why we cannot see heavens. We cannot see infinite worlds, because our 6 to 6 consciousness frame us, restrict us, restrict our ability to see everything. Okay, then would I continue? If you think that, your visual awareness were a perceived object, then you should be able to see my visual awareness and see what I see to claim what you have seen my visual awareness. However, why can't you see where my visual awareness is? And when I am not seeing, if you can see where my visual awareness is when I'm not seeing, then it should not be the appearance of not seeing, because you should see nothing, because I'm not seeing anything. So when you claim that you see my visual awareness, you should see nothing when I'm seeing nothing, right? But the problem is that you still see something. And then if you cannot see where my visual awareness is when I'm not seeing, then the visual awareness should not be an object to be seen. Okay, so here, there's an object and there's a viewer one. Okay, has the eye faculty, has the visual awareness, it's Ananda. Visual B, viewer B, okay. Buddha has the Buddha eyes, has visual awareness as well. And then these two viewers see the same object. And then, of course, different viewer has different capacity to see different worlds. Right now, the question is, can viewer A see viewer B's visual awareness if the visual awareness is the object? Yeah, of course, we say, of course not, right? So, but the problem right now is there are two conditions. Okay, the first is, what happens if a ghost possesses you? They can make you see what you cannot see originally. So how does the ghost make it happen? You heard that. Sometimes people through practice, there's a problem. If they have a strong intention, want to get enlightenment, sometimes they'll attract the demon to possess them. And this intention allow the demon to come into their body and control their mind. And sometimes they can make you become so-called supernatural. You can see ghosts around. Sometimes, maybe, I don't know, you can see heavenly beings around, and you can see what ordinary people cannot see. And sometimes you get a hint, you know how to cure people. You become a very famous doctor. You can choose the right medicine to the right people for the right sickness. You become so powerful. But unfortunately, our Sifu say, you are possessed by the ghosts or demons. Don't get happy just yet, because they can use your eyes. So when the spirits come to your body, let's say inside your body, they need, okay, ghost is lower level, okay? Ghosts need to use your eyes to see something, and they use your eyes to make you see something, okay? But that's not seeing your visual awareness, okay? That's basically control your eye. So at this time, how can you tell you are possessed or not? You close your eye. If you close your eye, then you cannot see those things. Then you're pretty much sure that you are possessed, okay? It's not your supernatural power that you can attain through cultivation. But then now let's go to here. Your visual awareness has two parts. One is the essence of visual awareness. The other is, mainly we call it the sixth consciousness. That is the main point that you make discrimination and you make judgments and all that. So now there are some people through practice, they do have supernatural power. They seem to be able to read your mind. You know, they know what you are thinking, right? A lot of Zen master, there are many Gong'an, you know, they are high practitioners. And so the heavenly want to make the food offering, they can find them. How can they find them? They read their sixth consciousness. Once your mind is moving, you're thinking, you know, you are even very subtle thinking. Heavenly being can see you, can find where you are. So usually the Zen master will, you know, steal their mind, stop the operation of the sixth consciousness. And at that time, the heavenly beings cannot find you. Okay, so right now I'm trying to clarify that when Buddha asked Ananda, can you see my visual awareness? He doesn't ask, he did not ask Ananda, you know, that kind of go, can use your eye to see me, or you know, the heavenly being can read your sixth consciousness, that kind of thing. Buddha is asking, can you see my true, the essence of visual awareness? So Sifu always, you know, there are some interesting dialogue. Always Sifu say that you cannot see me. You cannot see me. That is what it's about here. Okay, so now further, Buddha say, when you see this object, if you really can see my visual awareness, then the object would also see you as well, because you see my visual awareness, and my visual awareness can also see your visual awareness. So we are seeing each other. So the essence and the nature of yours and my kind of intermix, right? And it become, and how can you tell who is who and what is what? So of course, Buddha trying to point out that no, this is not the case. You cannot see my visual awareness because this is not the object. But the sixth consciousness, your thought, your emotion, your judgment are mental objects that can be perceived by the awareness. Okay. Now, Ananda, when you see something, it is you, not me. Okay. Who are aware of it? The essential nature of visual awareness pervades everything. It is not yours. Who could it be? No, basically, why you should accept that this is your true nature and this is the genuine, your true nature, and you shouldn't ask me that is true or not. You should know, okay? Now, first aspect, that the nature of seeing awareness. does not mix with object. So please do not mix your visual awareness with the object you perceive, and neither with the mental activity from the sixth consciousness you activate. Then second part is the nature of seeing awareness has no boundary. Okay, now I believe Ananda still do not see. He know what is not, but he does not know what it is, our true nature of visual awareness. The question comes again. Buddha, see, I can see the visual awareness extend to the entire Saha world. See, you empower me to have a heavenly eyes. I can see the moon palace. I can see the sun palace. I can see these beautiful heavens. And now we come back to this room. You know, the Buddha gave the talks. Now our visual awareness can only reach this whole room, like what we do right now. So the question comes, our visual awareness shrink or gets cut off by the wall. See, our visual awareness is pervasive, right? I can see heaven. And now I go to this small room. I only can see the things inside this small room. What's wrong with our visual awareness? It's our question as well, right? See, right now, if Buddha come and tell you, you are enlightened, you have the same Buddha nature as me, and you have everything like me, and your nature is pervasive and and you just like, but I cannot walk through the wall. I cannot see through the wall, and I only can see these limited spaces. And you say, I'm the same with you. How can I believe it? Or one possibility is, okay, this visual awareness like become bigger or become smaller, depends on the conditions. Okay, Buddha say, okay, calm down. Neither visual awareness nor space have a boundary, no borderline. Okay, let me ask you. See, if I have a square container, and there are space in the container, right? And then I change to round container, and there are space in the round container. So is the space in the square container different from the space in the round container? The shape looks different, right? But the space, are they the same or different? Or the space are fixed? You know, like we baking a cake, we pour the flour, the platter to the container, we bake it, and it becomes a square cake or become a round cake. Is it like that? Buddha say, if you want to see the reality that space is never fixed to be square or round shape, just simply remove the frames, remove the container, and you will see that the space is indeed shapeless, right? The space, no matter it's in the square container or in the round container, the space, the empty space is always the same, okay? But why we think that they are different? Because we are framed by the shape of the container. So what we need to do is actually take out the frames. You see here, you take out your pictures. You look at the picture when you're a baby, when you're, kids, teenagers, and college students, when you get married, when you have a baby, when you get old, until now, you line up all your pictures. See, this container change all the time. This body, that you think your mind is in your body, right? And this container change the shape all the time. On top of that, other people's shape change as well. And the thing change, the material world change, right? But we take it serious and we think it is true. So that's why when we found wrinkles around the eyes, it's intolerable, right? We have to do something, remove the wrinkle. We shouldn't look old, you know. And then that people, I really don't like him. How can he do this? How these people, and we think that people is real, right? Because that people is framed by his body shape and his mind, and we think it's real. And so we never see the true nature of our own self and the true nature of others. And we never see that our nature and others' natures are the same. Okay, so Buddha says that we need to take out the frame. And for the practice perspective, we need to practice to remove all the attachments and the illusory views. Now, so Buddha conclude, from time without beginning, all beings have mistakenly identified themselves with what they've perceived, and therefore lost track of their original mind and be dragged by the objects they perceive. So they mistakenly think that the size of their visual awareness changes according to the size of the object they perceive. But when they are in control of the object perceived, they are the same as the Buddha. Their bodies and minds are moving and repleted with perfect understanding, become a place for awakening. Then all the lands in the 10 directions are contained within the tip of a fine hair. We heard that a lot in Zen Gong'an, right? In Zen Gong'an, the largest and the smallest are the same. And it's beyond our imagination. You know, like a sesame world has the 10 directions of the world. Oh, you cannot even see the sesame clearly. And how can you say that, you know, in the one grain of sesame, you can see the 10 directions of the world, right? Because we have the frame. So right now, Ananda has two confusion. Okay, first, in the second, when the second aspects that Buddha point out that the true nature of visual awareness is not move, does not move. So remember, Buddha point out that, you know, the palms open up and close up, and you think this object is moving, right? And then he shoot the light left and right, and his head move. So basically, Buddha point out that you grasp the 4 elements as one's body, and you grasp the 6 consciousness as one's mind. And that's called, oops, I forgot the English. You mistakenly the object as yourself. Okay. The second confusion is this one, is from all that lies within the visual awareness. From what all you can see, one cannot tell what is the entity and what is our perceived object. Okay, that's called you mistakenly think yourselves as objects. Okay, so these two are the often mistakes we have. We either mistaken the object as ourselves, or we mistaken ourselves are objects. So here, okay, so let's recap a little bit, that when Buddha starts explain, you know, how the unluminous luminous states and become voidness, become the form, and then become the disturbed emotion within and our chasing mind without. And all these are because we perceive, either we perceive the physical object and mental object as ourself, or we mistakenly perceive ourselves as our physical object and mental objects. Now, why we have different capacity of seeing? right? Why Buddha can see everything, why even heavenly beings can see vast heaven and we cannot, right? There are 5 levels. That is from the attachment we have. We have different levels of attachments. We build up different frame for ourselves. That's why we have different limited capacity, visual awareness. So why we need to practice? We need to remove or detach all those illusory view, wrong views, and attachment, okay, related to our body and mind. Now, the 8th one, now the Buddha getting deeper and deeper, okay? So from 1st to 7, Buddha clarified, try to clarify for us and for the Sravaka and Patyaka Buddha, because we all think that we are the true self is our body and mind. And so like the purpose of Sravaka would think that, all the sufferings come from this body and mind. So let's get rid of it and get a true liberation. Okay, so let go of the body and mind. But Buddha say, yeah, the body and mind is not your true self. But what is the true self? We have to go deeper. It's not like, you stop, get birth, then you are free from suffering. It's not like that. And the number 8 is the nature of seeing awareness is non-dual, okay? We keep talking about body and mind and all that, and true self and the objects. Now Buddha's trying to say that both the nature of seeing awareness are both separated and not separated from the object. You cannot say that, my mind is not the object is not my mind. And then also there is a clear-cut object in my mind. Buddha said, sorry, it's not like that, okay? Here. Ananda has more question. Very thankful to Ananda. His question is our question, okay? So he asked question for us to understand more and deeper. Ananda asked Buddha, granted that my visual awareness is indeed my wonderful true nature, and this wonderful nature must be what appears before me, then my visual awareness must be my true self. How about my body, mind? What are they? Okay, the question is, you told me that my visual awareness is not my body and my mind because they are all object perceived. But then I'm sitting here seeing, right? I'm still using this body and mind to see. And if that's not my true mind, true nature, and what is my true body? What is this body and mind called? Okay, and the question continue. If it is really, if what you say, it is really my mind, please help me see what the essential nature of this visual awareness is. The real me and my body is not me. Please help me see it, that this visual awareness is me and this body is not me. How come Buddha earlier argued that the perceived objects cannot see me? My physical body, eyes here, and my mind, and you keep saying that my mind, the mind is not the object. You cannot see your mind. Okay, now, when we see object, the most important part is the nature of visual awareness. We got this point, okay? So Buddha point out the body and mind, the visual awareness, and through Ananda's questions, Buddha continued to analyze, to dissect the visual awareness to the nature of visual awareness and the conscious mind. And then more now we focus on the nature of visual awareness right now. So Buddha asked, if your visual awareness were indeed in front of you, then as you point to these things, you could be able to indicate which one of them is your awareness. And Ananda said, well, I can point out all the things that my eyes observe, chairs, peoples, the fence, the cups, all that. But none of them is my visual awareness. You see the cup, the table, it's not my visual awareness. Neither I nor any other Arhat who is at the first stage and until still have outfalls, nor even bodhisattvas could dissect any one of the mirage objects and pick out a visual awareness that has its own self-nature. See, I see this, right? Can you, because I have a visual awareness, that's why I see this. Can you dissect this object and pick out the visual awareness? Because when I see it, because I have visual awareness, that's why I see it, right? Let's continue. This is a complicated questions, but it's very important questions. And Buddha asked, are any of these things separate from your visual awareness? Okay. It's not, you cannot dissect the visual awareness from the object. And how about, is there any things that you can perceive without your visual awareness? In other words, Ananda say, if the trees were separated from my awareness, how could I be seeing them? But if the trees were identical to my awareness, how could they still be trees? The same is true of every other perceived object and of space as well. If space were separated from my awareness, how could I be seeing it? But if it were identical to my awareness, how could it still be space? Having scrutinized the mirage sites around us, I realized that not even the smallest of them is separated from my awareness. It's a long answer. See, when we meditation, when we try to find out true mind, then we contemplate, right? Contemplate deeper and deeper. And then when we can realize that all the perceived objects, including the mental objects, are not our true mind, then we have to know. And without your awareness, are those things exist? Okay, basically these two questions are asked by these questions. Okay, this is a philosophical questions that are very famous, okay? If a tree falls in a forest and no one is around to hear it, does it make a sound? Yes or no? Okay, repeat the question. If a tree falls in the forest and no one is around to hear it, does it make a sound? Similar question raised by Einstein, Albert Einstein. Okay, Albert Einstein is a good friend with Niels Bohr, and also they have a students, not students, the more younger scientists called Abraham Pius. Those three are very famous quantum mechanics. Okay, so one day during a lunch walk with fellow Abraham Pius, Einstein suddenly stopped and asked, do you really believe that the moon only exists if you look at it? Same question. This is the same question as Ananda's question. Two aspects, this is the same question. No answer, okay. So Abraham Pius answer, the majority views of the quantum mechanics community then at his time, and arguably to this day, okay, to right now, is that existence in the absence of an observer is at best a conjecture. That means a conclusion that cannot neither be proven nor disproven. This question, Ananda's question. So my mind, I see the object because I have a mind. And then if there is no mind, there is no object. So does the object exist because of my mind? Or object can exist by itself? Does it, if a tree falls in a forest and nobody's around, does it make a sound? Felix said, no, it does not make a sound. Okay, let's see what Buddha answer, okay? Now, Manjusri got confused too. So he stand up and clarified the question to Buddha. No, okay, Buddha, for the assembly, because everybody looked confused, just like when Einstein asked Pius, does the moon exist only when somebody sees it? So Manjusri summarized the question. If the object or space appeared is part of the visual awareness, then we should be able to point out the visual awareness. If the object and space appears is not due to the visual awareness, we should not see the object and space. So now is the relationship between the visual awareness and the object perceived, say form and space. What is the relationship between these two? Are they together or separated? Together or separated? Now, Buddha said, I specifically wanted to show you the sutras, the content of the sutra, original content. Some of them I just summarize, but some of the sentence I think is very important. I spend a lot of time trying to find a more precise translation for you, because I think this is important. And maybe you can find a mistake, and maybe you can have some idea, you can get back to me. And those I show you, the sentence are very important part in the sutra. Okay, Buddha said, to all Buddhas and to the great Bodhisattvas who dwell in samadhi, visual awareness and visible objects and mental activity as well are like flowers appear in space. They have no real existence of their own. Fundamentally, both visual awareness and the objects perceived are from the entity of pure, wondrous, and luminous enlightenment. How could one ask about it is separated or it is not separated? Basically, now it get even harder to swallow. We keep talking about the visual awareness, the essence of visual awareness. Keep talking about it. Keep analyzes the relationship with the object and clarify, your mind, your visual awareness is not the object and all that. Till now, Buddha say that, okay, sorry, the visual awareness and objects are all illusory. They are not real. So the question does not exist. It is separated or is not separated. You see, how can you ask, if I have an eye disease, I see flowers in the sky, and can I ask you, does the flower is pink or yellow or, red? Where does it come from and where does it go? Does that question make sense to you? And you will say, you are insane. There is no flowers. Why you ask me those questions, right? So Buddha turn around, ask Manjushri. Okay, you ask question for the assembly, then I ask question to you. Now I ask you, you are Manjushri, right? Yes. Is there another Manjushri about whom one can say that Manjushri is not Manjushri? So for example, I say, Felix, you are Felix, right? And can you point out someone you can say that that one is not Felix? Of course, you cannot point out Amanda, say she's not Felix. Of course, she's Amanda. Can you find another Felix you can claim that he is not Felix? And Manjushri say, of course not. There is only one Manjushri, right? If you claim that there is another Manjushri that is not Manjushri, that means there are two Manjushri. And one you say this is real and this is not real. But Manjushri said, no, there is only one Manjushri, one. Okay, like this is Tibetan Manjushri, this is Chinese Manjushri. Can you say, okay, this Tibetan Manjushri is real on your left and the Chinese Manjushri is not Manjushri on your right? Manjushri, no, there's only one Manjushri, no matter what clothes I change, my Manjushri, right? So Buddha say, the same is true of the wondrous understanding access of your visual awareness. Sorry about this translation, because this translation is got to be very precise, because there are so many visual awareness show up right now. We have to point out what is the true ultimate visual awareness, what is the so-called illusory. And okay, the true visual awareness and of the objects and space we observed. Okay, this is the same is true for this. All other wondrous understanding, supreme enlightenment, the pure, perfect, true mind. It is deluded to see them as separate, as observed object space and visual awareness, or as hearing awareness and other kinds of awareness, so on and so forth. Just like the appearance of the second moon, and then the questions of who is and who is not become a problem. Okay, it's not a question. This question does not exist. Okay, let's summarize a little bit. Oh, okay. There is more important statement. Actually, Manjushri, there is really only one real moon. There is no second moon. There is no issue regarding this is the moon or this is not a moon to verify it in between. Okay, therefore, all your observation of visual awareness and visible objects are nothing but delusion. And that's why you cannot avoid the question of what is and what is not. Only with the wondrously enlightened, luminous nature of the essence of true nature, of awareness, can one transcend the conjecture of pointing out what is and what is not. In other words, you know, the sound, the tree, the sound, and the observer, the moon, all the answer Buddha conclude is that, you know, these are all illusory. When you talk about the so-called subjective observer or objective material, objective targets, these two are illusion. Okay, here. Now, Buddha further analyzes, now get to the 8th consciousness level. Okay. You see, our true nature, the nature of visual awareness is here. We call it self-reflexive nature. The Sanskrit term is here, okay? And this is from Yogacara theory. We have a true nature, and when we have something to perceive, then this true nature become dual, duality. It has the subjectivity part and objectivity part. The subjectivity part is what we can see, the perceiver, and it's called here in Śurangama Sutra, here is the essence of visual awareness. And the other objectivity part is called the object perceived, including our body and this world, environment, all things that we can perceive. And this perceiver is the second moon that Buddha keep talking about. It's second moon. Even though it's not the real moon, it is second moon. It's also a good practice to practice with the second moon. And there is the third moon is the object we discriminated through our sixth consciousness. And there is the first moon. The first moon is the true nature of the visual awareness. Okay, so now Buddha point out that the subjectivity part and objectivity part, they are separated and they are not separated. They are separated is subjectivity is subjectivity, objectivity is objectivity. They are not separated is because they co-arise. They come at the same time. You cannot divide it. This is observer and object does not exist, or you say object exists and the observer does not exist. They coexist from the pure luminous nature of visual awareness, the self-reflective nature. Now, in the right box, red dot box, that's this point, the number 8, Buddha say that the true nature of visual awareness is not dual. They are not separated, and they are neither not separated. That's pointed to right now is for practitioner when your mind go down very deep and you still have subjectivity and objectivity, they are also illusory. You say, oh, I'm enlightened. That's your illusory. For enlightened person, they won't feel that they are enlightened, but they know their true nature. Okay, so once you have duality, they are all illusory. You're not there yet. You haven't seen your true nature. That's already very deep when you want to see the subjectivity part, objectivity part. Okay, it's now, okay, there are 2 more. Okay, still have 30 minutes to go. The nature of seeing awareness is beyond mundane views. The next question is very important because, as you know, at Buddha's age, the Indian, the Indic philosophy or Indic religions are well established. They are very deep and profound. We have some shared concept from, like Indian religion or philosophy. The shared concept like karma, like causes and conditions and consequence, those are the same. The Indian religion talk about that too. But there are fundamental differences. Okay, let's see. This number 9 is Buddha point out what's the fundamental differences between Buddhism and the other Indian religions. Ananda said to the Buddha, it truly is as the Dharma King has said, our enlightened nature can be involved with things throughout all 10 directions, and yet it remains clear and still. It is eternally present. It neither comes into being nor ceases to be. But, okay, why does Buddha has said in this regard differed from the truth of the unmanifested nature as taught by the Brahmin Kapila? It's a very famous Indian philosopher or religions, or see the truth of the unmanifested nature. This is very, you see, when you practice to the very deep samadhi, when nothing come out, it's so quiet, so still, and seems pure, and it's easily you will confuse, delude yourself that, oh, this is my Buddha nature, this is I'm enlightened. And so what the Anandas know that it's different. So Ananda say, when I face the disciples, I need to explain to them, but Buddha, please tell me, what is the differences between the true nature, the pervasive, clear and still, eternally present, those explanations sounds so similar when the Kapila tried to explain the truth of the unmanifested nature, and also the so-called true self that pervade in the 10 directions. Other religions talk about that too, the true self, right? And how can I clarify these concepts with the people so that they will still on the right path and not go to the other? See here, true self. Here, let's compare Indian Indus philosophy. Atma is the true self, real self, or innermost essence, or the soul. And Atman is a metaphysical and spiritual concept of Hindus, often discussed in their scriptures with the concept of Brahman. Okay, so I have no time to compare this religion, but Brahman, when you practice, you unified with Brahman, and you can see your true self. And there is Atma that eternally exists. Okay, but Buddhist philosophy is called anattama. Okay, anattama, no self, non-self, impersonality. There is no permanent underlying substance called self or soul. So that's the very differences, the fundamental differences from Buddhism and other in Hindus religions, to explain karma, to explain causes and conditions and consequences. Okay, even we have a shared term for this, but based on Atma or anattama, the explanation is different. Okay. Now, also, okay, there are, what is that? Also, there is a concept that, when on mountain Lankas, and Buddha explained, to Mahamadi, saying that those who are not on the right path are always speaking of things existing in and of themselves, whereas Buddha speaks of causes and conditions. Okay, so in Lankavatara Sutra, this sutra is basically built up by the 100 questions or many questions raised by Mahamadi to Buddha, and Buddha answered. I remember there's one question that Mahamadi asked Buddha, the same question. Is the Tathagata Gabra the same as the, the true selves from the outer path? Are they the same? Something like that. And so there are two things that we need to clarify. One, what is called the thing exist in and of themselves, and what is the real meaning of causes and conditions? Let's finish Ananda's questions. As I see it now, the nature of awareness naturally neither comes into being nor ceases to being, and far transcends all delusions and upside-down views. It seems it does not arise from causes and conditions. Instead, it seems more like that it exists in and of itself. I only hope that the Buddha will explain this to us so that we may realize our true and genuine mind, which is our wondrously understanding enlightened nature, and avoid all the wrong paths. See, when Buddha tried to explain, the true nature, it sounds like the outer path, the so-called true self. It sounds like it's not because causes and conditions. It sounds more like our true nature exists in and of itself. This is very dangerous, right? How can you explain it? Now, based on the Ananda's questions, Buddha tried to clarify the so-called thing exists in and of itself. Buddha replied, if it, the nature of awareness, indeed exists in and of itself, as you say, then you should be able to discern what itself essentially consists of. So what is its substance? So for example, Christians talk about God, right? Union with God, and Brahman, unify with Brahman, and then God's quality, Brahman's quality, so when you talk about it exists of itself, the itself, what is the substance? And Buddha continue, consider your wondrous illuminated visual awareness. What is its substance? Does it consist of light, darkness, space, solid objects that exist in and of itself? For example, right now, because our true nature of the true nature of visual awareness, because we can see light, does that mean that your visual awareness has the quality of light, have the essence of light? That's why you can see light. And the same hold true for darkness, space, and solid objects. And of course, let's see. And of course not. Buddha said that, if your true visual awareness has light substance, then how can you see darkness? And when the light is off, you see darkness, right? Does that mean your true visual awareness has darkened substance of darkness and space and solid, all the solid objects? You have this substance of it. But light and darkness are contradict. When you see light, you cannot see darkness. When you see darkness, you cannot see light. And how can you have these two substances at the same time? And then let's talk about causes and conditions. And Buddha said that you are saying that the luminous nature of visual awareness comes into being from causes and conditions. And now it's because of your seeing the nature of your visual awareness to manifest. Okay, this Buddha asked Ananda. Then what is the primary cause of your seeing? Is it light, darkness, space, or solid objects? The primary cause for you to see? Moreover, is light or darkness a condition of your being aware of what you see before you, or are objects conditions? Is space a condition? So basically, Buddha trying to help analysts, try to Ananda to see, you say causes and conditions. So what is the causes for you to see? What is the conditions for you to see? You say, oh, the causes is because of light. Then, the debate is the same pattern. If you say it's the light, then how about darkness? And so on. And if it's the condition, the same thing. If light is a condition for you to see, then darkness, you shouldn't see darkness. But you see darkness, right? We will see a lot of debate like this. Okay, cause and condition. I summarize this. If we say that A plus B equal to C, that's math, right? If we say A plus B and produce C, then it's chemistry, right? You put something, burn it, and it becomes some other things. That's chemistry. But then if you say one cause plus one conditions, and it has a consequence. For example, I am the cause, and I drop this cup to the ground. It's broken. The consequence, right? I drop the cup, or I should say, I and cup, and I drop it. It's broken. That's consequence. And now it's primary cause plus conditions, plural, and to consequence, plural. That's very I here, right? I'm speaking here. I'm giving a Dharma talk here. But without the audience, basically I'm not so-called giving a Dharma talk. I'm talking to myself. By myself, I'm talking here because I have no computer, no Zoom, and no audience here. Then the consequence is different. So I'm talking to myself, or I'm giving Dharma talk to others. And likewise, if I am donating money to the charity organization, consequences, I have a good karma of making offering, right? But it's not that simple. I am donating $1 million. I build up a good karma of $1 million merits. But my wife, my father hates me because I donated $1 million. Or your family members scold at you or break up the relationship with you, or say, you are insane. How can you donate $1 million when we only have $2 million? The conditions. When you donate $1 million, it's not that simple. You have family members, you have kids, you have a boss, and so on. And your boss get angry, jealousy, because in the public, your boss only donate $10,000 and you donate $1 million, make him looks bad. So you donate $1 million. You think the $1 million is a condition, but sorry, there are so many conditions around, and the consequences are so different that you don't know. So that's why Buddha says that when I say causes and conditions, is I try to explain, when you ask me why I'm so poor this life, why I always cannot make money. And then Buddha will ask you, because you in your past life, you this and that, that's why you cannot accumulate wealth, you cannot get rich. But the real meaning of causes condition is emptiness. It's up to your mind. Okay, so that's why it's up to your mind. Okay, so for example, you feel bad because you are so poor in this life. And people told you because you do not donate money, you cannot help people, that's why you are poor. But if you don't think poor is a consequence for you to take, being poor is a good thing for you to become a good mayor in New York City. Because there are so many poor people around, you know how they feel, you know what they need. And you become a good mayor, you resolve the problem in poor people's life. Then you will suffer because you have been poor in the past. Being poor in your childhood is not a bad remarks for you. It's not a bad karma for you. It's a good karma for you to become a good man. The causes and condition and consequence has no fix, like math or chemistry, no fixed interpretation, no fixed way to see it. That's why Buddha said this very famous sentence: whatever is dependently co-arising, that is explained to be emptiness. That being a dependent designation is itself the middle way. Something that is not dependently arising, such a thing does not exist. Therefore, a non-empty thing does not exist. Right now, the emptiness here is not something non-existing of something. The emptiness is the nature of the emptiness. Everything is possible. Okay, it depends on your mind, right? So, wow, the sentence is getting more complicated, but we have to read it. Therefore, you should understand that the existence of the enlightened nature of the wondrous illuminated visual awareness is not dependent for its existence on cause and conditions. Neither does it exist in and of itself, nor does it not exist in and of itself. It's not about incorrect or not incorrect, neither about what is and what is not. The last sentence is most important. It is detached from all phenomena, yet indivisible from all dharmas, our true nature. Okay, so the number 9, Buddha clarified the so-called mundane views about the true self, about the mundane view of so-called exist as an in and of itself, okay, or by naturally exist. In other words, enlightenment is not something you just sit here and it will naturally come or manifest. And it's also not like you do something, you practice very hard, and it manifests. Very hard to understand, but it is. It's a very important guidance for a meditation practitioner. And all the grandmaster will keep telling you that enlightenment, you cannot pursue it. It's not something you make an effort and then you can get it. And it's not something either that you don't want to do something and it will naturally come. Okay, the number 10. The nature of seeing awareness is beyond seeing. Oh, this is get to the core. You mean seeing is not seeing? Ananda keep bringing out what he learned and what he heard from Buddha to challenge, to debate with Buddha about what he is talking about in the Śurangama Sutra. Okay, Ananda continues say, Buddha, if the wondrous nature of awareness is indeed not depend on causes and conditions, why then has the Buddha often taught the monks that our visual awareness requires 4 conditions to be present: the space, the light, the mind, and the eye faculty? What do you mean then? That's what we learned from the Yogacara as well. There are 9 conditions for you there are 9 and 7, you know, all different levels, different criteria for you to be able to see and hear and taste, and, you know, the 6 organ, how you operate it. You need different criteria for you to do that. And here, Ananda say, you talk about that, the 4 conditions for us to see, you know, space. The object cannot touch my eyes. It needs space for me to see. And it needs light, right? And need my awareness to be here. The faculty, eye organs to be here. And now the Buddha says that, okay, what I have explained about the phenomena of causes and conditions in this mundane world is not an ultimate meaning. Okay, just straightforward. That's I use it to explain phenomena in the mundane world, but it's not ultimate, because I'm talking about super mundane right now. I have another question for you in return to Ananda. When ordinary people say I see or I do not see, what do they mean by seeing or not seeing? So simple, right? Ananda say, relying on the light of the sun, of the moon, or the lamps, 3 resources of the light. Ordinary people can see various objects. That is what they mean by seeing. Without at least one of these 3 sources of light, they will not be able to see, right? That's our ordinary understanding. And so Buddha conclude for Ananda, okay, so you mean when there is a light, you see light, and that means seeing. When there is no light, you see darkness. Is that still seeing? You see darkness, right? It's also called seeing, right? So challenge Ananda's reply. And now in the dark, without seeing light, you call it not seeing. But now in the light, without seeing darkness, will you call it not seeing as well? Because you did not see the other side, right? And or is it because that these 2 appearances are mutually exclusive, but not your visual awareness temporarily sees in between? Okay, so it's like light and darkness is just like only one can exist. That's because the property of light and darkness, not because that your visual awareness, when you see, it's on, and when you are not seeing, it's off. Okay. Therefore, you should understand that in both cases, the idea is seeing. And Ananda, you should know that when you see light, darkness, space, blockage object, your visual awareness is not the light, darkness, space, blockage object, respectively. Because your visual is not the object you see. Okay. Likewise, the most important part here, you should further understand that when you are aware of your seeing with your true awareness, this true awareness is not your visual awareness, second moon. Not only that your true awareness is separated from your visual awareness, but also that this true awareness is untangible. And don't talk about the causes and conditions or naturally arise or the things that come together or not. Okay, let me summarize. All this long paragraph is when you see something, then there is a subjectivity part and objectivity part that is separate and unseparate, okay? And your visual, the essence of the visual awareness, the second moon, seems that the second moon see the moon and the object, and the visual awareness is your second moon, and you see the third moon, the object perceived is the objectivity part. And you're trying to see the first moon. So when these two come together back to the so-called the yellow box, self-reflective nature, the nature of visual awareness, your true awareness. And this, you see the first moon and there is no moon anymore. You are not seeing. So for us, a moon there is a circle, yellowish, bright object there, right? It's a moon. And so when I see it, my eyes and my visual awareness think that I'm seeing it. This is a second moon. And when I has an image of the moon, actually it's the third moon. And our master, Sheng Yan, has a very good explanation of this part. Yeah, you want to see the real first moon. But when you get to the moon disappears. The moon is not a circle, yellowish, bright object anymore when you get to the moon. So we practice, we want to get enlightenment. When we get enlightenment, there is no enlightenment. Not seeing. Okay, so that's what Buddha say, not seeing. The nature of your visual awareness is not seeing. Okay, when you really see it. Okay, now I briefly conclude, only 1 minute. Form, world, the object, the organs, when our organ perceive the objects, then go down. There's a consciousness. There are different levels of consciousness. The first to sixth consciousness to make discrimination, that's the third moon. Okay, and then when we need to further practice to see what is the seventh and eighth consciousness all about. And when the real practice have to go to the eighth consciousness level, and this eighth consciousness level, you have to let go of the subjectivity part and objectivity part, because subjectivity part is the second moon, objectivity part is the third moon. They coexist, but they are not real. When this subjectivity and objectivity united or disappear, you see right now the red box is the self-reflective nature. And of course, there is co-assurance of self-reflective nature. So that's our practice from outside all the way to the eighth consciousness and to the self-reflective nature part. And then finally, Ananda said to the Buddha, okay, I know this is not causes and conditions, and it does not exist in and of itself. But I still do not understand the teaching about the so-called melting and or conjoined things or not, sorry, this is typo, not melting and or conjoining. And now we hear further that you talk about the essence of visual awareness of which the true awareness is aware. The true awareness is aware. Is not the same as the true awareness. Then I'm even more confused. Okay, so the awareness, the true awareness, aware of the subjectivity, visual awareness. When you aware of that, then this is not seeing anymore. So when you get to the moon disappears. The moon is not the moon anymore. I don't understand. I believe you don't understand, and I don't understand either. Okay, so next week, Buddha continue his talk. He used how do the true mind and the deluded mind combine. This is a very important topic. We are originally pure, and now we have illusory mind. Does the true mind and illusory mind the same mind? If they are the same mind, are they combined together? How do they combine together? How do they separate out so that we can see our true mind? You know, all kind of interpretation. Buddha trying to use this to point out the true mind, the true nature, the true nature of our, the nature of the true suchness for us. So that will be my next talk. Thank you for attention, and sorry about the overtime. I mean, do anyone has question? Self-nature. Okay, the question is, does the true mind related to our true
to your self-nature?
True self-nature? Okay. True mind, if at this point, the true mind, the so-called true mind, mind and nature, one is talk about true mind is the essence. And when we talk about true nature is the function of the mind. 体跟用, true mind is related to 体, essence. True nature is about the function of the mind, is about 用. You can say they are the same, but they are not the same, you know.
Relies on the dependent ordination. So its essence, it means, I mean, it's also the entity.
You shouldn't say that. I think I will revise the question. Your question is, the true nature relied on the dependent origination. You should, I would say that because of our true nature, so everything dependently arise. Because the true nature is not depend on anything. But the function of the mind, relied on dependent original nature to manifest. 所有的
Okay. I know all the forms is they are all false and elusive, right? They are not exist by itself. Okay, so
not by itself, not by itself.
Not by itself. Okay, you're talking about self. Self containing the meaning of the ego. Yes. Right.
So we don't actually so later on Buddha say Tathagata Gabra. We less use the term of, we will say true nature, and we less talk about true self. Once we talk about true self, there is a quote about what the true self is. It's different from the self, you know, there is essence, there is an entity, there is a master, the things that will control everything. So the self, so I mentioned Atama and not and Natama. Okay, is there any questions online?
Yes, I have a question.
Okay.
So I'm not sure I understand well. Does that mean all the physical world we observed and even the mind and the consciousness does not exist. They are all from the illuminous enlightenment of 本性 or 自性.
Okay. So Buddha keeps saying that, it does not exist because it's illusory. And when you from, just like I say, when you get to the moon does not exist, but you are not get to the moon yet. Okay, so the further, okay, I think maybe I will get to that point in my next talk. Buddha say that the nature of the true suchness, that all our 6 organs, 6 objects, 6 consciousness, the 18 realms and the 7 elements are all the the nature of the true suchness of Tathagata Garbha. It's just like Chang Hwa Fashi always say, the ocean and the wave. The phenomena is the wave. Our true mind or the true nature is the ocean. And then when we have an illusory view, it's a wind that bring up the wave. But the wave itself is not wave for enlightened people point of view. The wave only exists when your mind has the wind. That's your world, your perception, not mine. Yeah. So for what is that? Who is asking?
Me. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So this question, according to Buddha's answer, does not exist. That
Okay.
exists or not exist. But I would say that when you have this question that the subjectivity or objectivity or the world, does it exist because it exists in your mind. Why it exists in your mind? Because your mind has illusory view, diluted view about the mind and body. And you see, your world only exists in your mind. Your world is not my world. So what you claim, this world, the object, the things is in your mind. But next talk, Buddha will talk about, because Ananda has this confusion as well. And so Buddha continue to clarify there are 2 terms. One is called individual karma. The other is called shared karma. So that's why we see the world. We have individual karma that you see specifically for you. We have shared karma that we all see a sun there. Okay, so come to next work. That's together learn from the Buddha about we all have all kinds of questions further, and then Buddha continue to answer it.
Thank you.
So thank you for your questions, and we will see you next. Okay, this question, maybe I should copy it. Can I answer it next time, because we are over time. We have a event this afternoon.
Yeah.
I copy this and I will point it and get to this next week.